Okinawa, Japan, an island where more people live past 100 than almost anywhere on Earth. No cutting-edge hospitals, no prescription routines, no anti-aging supplements stacked on kitchen counters. Just centuries-old habits passed down through generations. These people stay active into their 90s. They garden, they walk, they laugh with friends. Their bodies don't break down the way ours do. Their minds stay sharp, and they do it all without the interventions we've been told are necessary. The Okinawan approach isn't complicated, it's not expensive, and it doesn't require modern medicine. At minute 4, I'll show you the eating principle that prevents overeating and keeps digestion light without counting calories. At minute 7, you'll learn the movement practice that keeps joints fluid and fascia healthy without ever stepping into a gym. This isn't a diet plan. It's not a workout program. It's a way of living that monks understood centuries ago, and that Okinawans have proven works. Okinawa has the highest concentration of centenarians per capita in the world. Over 50 per 100,000 people live past 100. In the United States, that number is around 10. They don't just survive longer, they live better. Heart disease rates are a fraction of what we see in the West. Dementia is rare. Hip fractures, common in aging populations, barely register. A 2016 study published in The Lancet tracked 72,000 Okinawans over 40 years and found significantly lower rates of cancer, cardiovascular disease, and age-related decline compared to Western populations. These aren't people confined to wheelchairs or dependent on caretakers. They're active, they move, they contribute to their communities well into their 80s and 90s. The difference isn't genetic. Research from the Okinawa centenarian study found that lifestyle, not DNA, accounts for roughly 70% of their longevity advantage. When Okinawans move to mainland Japan or the United States and adopt modern diets and routines, their health outcomes worsen. They lose the protection. So what are they doing? Their routine centers on 5 core practices: mindful eating, daily natural movement, a strong sense of purpose, deep social bonds, and low-stress living aligned with nature. None of these require money. None require modern infrastructure. The Okinawan method mirrors what Shaolin and Tibetan monks have practiced for centuries, living in rhythm with the body's natural needs, not against them. Monks didn't have gyms. They didn't have meal plans. They had principles that worked with human biology, not against it. Okinawans kept those principles alive, and their bodies prove it works. Hara Hachi Bu. It translates to eat until you're 80% full. That's it. No calorie tracking, no macros, no apps telling you when to stop. Just awareness. Stop before your stomach feels stuffed. Stop while you could still eat more but don't need to. This practice comes from Confucian teaching, adopted across Okinawa for centuries. It's not about restriction, it's about rhythm. Your stomach sends a signal to your brain about 20 minutes after you've eaten enough. But most people don't wait. They keep eating until they feel physically full, which means they've already overeaten. Hara Hachi Bu builds in that buffer. You stop early. You let digestion catch up. Your body stays light instead of sluggish. Okinawans practice this at every meal. They eat slowly. They use smaller plates and bowls. They pause between bites. The meal becomes an event, not a task. Compare that to how most people eat now. Fast, distracted, plate cleared in 10 minutes while staring at a screen. The result? Overeating becomes automatic. Your stomach stretches. Your insulin spikes. Your body stores excess as fat because it doesn't know what else to do with the surplus. A 2009 study in obesity research found that people who ate more slowly consumed 10% fewer calories per meal without feeling deprived. Another study from Kyushu University tracked 3,000 adults and found that those who ate quickly had significantly higher rates of obesity and metabolic syndrome. Harahachi-bu prevents that. It keeps your digestive system from overloading. It keeps inflammation low. It keeps your energy stable instead of crashing 2 hours after a meal. Monks understood this without the studies. Tibetan and Shaolin traditions emphasize eating until satisfied, not stuffed. They knew that a heavy stomach clouds the mind, that overeating drains energy instead of providing it. Okinawans live by the same principle, and their metabolism stays efficient into their 90s. You don't need willpower. You need awareness. Eat slower. Pause halfway through. Ask yourself if you're still hungry or just finishing the plate out of habit. That's Harahachi-bu. And it works. Okinawans don't exercise. They move. There's a difference. Exercise is something you schedule, something you do for 30 minutes, then stop. Movement is woven into the day. It's constant. It's natural. It doesn't require equipment or a plan. Okinawans garden. They walk to neighbors' houses. They squat to sit instead of using chairs. They stretch while talking. They carry water. They sweep floors. They move their bodies the way humans did for thousands of years. Before cars, before desks, before sitting became the default position for 8 hours a day. This isn't intense. It's not cardio. It's not heavy lifting. It's low-level, continuous movement that keeps joints lubricated, fascia pliable, and blood flowing without stress. A 2013 study in the Journal of Aging Research found that Okinawans over 70 spend an average of 4 to 5 hours per day in light physical activity. Not exercise. Activity. Walking, gardening, household tasks. That steady movement maintains muscle mass, bone density, and cardiovascular function without the wear and tear of high-impact routines. Compare that to the Western model. Sit all day, then hit the gym for an hour. Your body doesn't respond well to that pattern. Sitting collapses your hip flexors. It compresses your spine. It shuts down circulation. Then you shock your system with intense effort, creating inflammation and cortisol spikes. Okinawans skip that entirely. Their movement is gentle, frequent, and functional. Shaolin monks operate the same way. They don't work out. They train through daily tasks, carrying water up mountains, cleaning courtyards, practicing forms that flow like dance. Tibetan monks walk for hours, perform prostrations, and maintain flexibility through simple stretches done multiple times a day. The principle is identical. Keep the body in motion without forcing it. Your fascia, the connective tissue wrapping every muscle and organ, needs movement to stay hydrated and elastic. Sitting for hours dehydrates it. It stiffens, it binds. That's why you feel tight after a long day at a desk. Okinawans never let that happen. They squat while cooking. They kneel while eating. They walk instead of drive. Their fascia stays loose because it's constantly being used. Your joints work the same way. Cartilage doesn't have its own blood supply. It relies on movement to pump in nutrients and flush out waste. No movement means degeneration. Slow, steady movement means preservation. Okinawans in their 80s can still squat flat-footed, stand from the floor without using their hands, and walk for miles. Not because they trained for it, because they never stopped doing it. You don't need a gym. You need to move more throughout the day. Stand while working. Walk after meals. Squat instead of sitting. Stretch while watching TV. Make movement automatic again. Your body will respond. Ikigai, your reason for waking up. Okinawans don't retire and fade away. They don't stop contributing. They don't lose purpose when they stop earning a paycheck. They have ikigai, a clear sense of why they're here. For some, it's tending a garden that feeds the family. For others, it's teaching a craft to younger generations. It's caring for grandchildren. It's maintaining a small business. It's participating in community ceremonies. The specifics don't matter. What matters is that they know their role. They know they're needed. They know tomorrow has meaning. A 2008 study published in Psychosomatic Medicine followed 43,000 Japanese adults for 7 years. Those with a strong sense of ikigai had significantly lower rates of cardiovascular disease and death from all causes. The effect held regardless of age, education, or health status at the start. Purpose protects the body. It reduces stress hormones. It keeps the mind engaged. It gives structure to the day. Monks live by this without calling it ikigai. Their purpose is practice, meditation, service, teaching. They wake at dawn not because they have to, but because their role demands it. That clarity eliminates the existential drift that accelerates aging in modern life. Most people lose purpose when their identity shifts. Career ends, kids leave, the calendar empties. Suddenly, there's no reason to get out of bed. The body interprets that as permission to shut down. Okinawans never experience that drop. Their ikigai evolves, but it never disappears. A fisherman becomes a net mender. A farmer becomes a teacher. A mother becomes a community elder. They stay useful, they stay connected, they stay alive. You don't need a grand mission. You need something that pulls you forward, something that makes tomorrow different from today. Find it, protect it, let it guide your daily rhythm. That's ikigai, and it keeps you breathing when everything else says stop. Moai, lifelong social circles built on trust, support, and shared responsibility. In Okinawa, Moai groups form in childhood and last until death. 5 to 7 people commit to meeting regularly, sometimes weekly, sometimes daily, for emotional support, financial assistance, and companionship. They share meals, they help with labor, they show up when someone struggles. No one faces hardship alone. These aren't casual friendships, they're structured bonds with real accountability. Each member contributes a small amount of money to a collective fund. If someone needs help, medical bills, home repairs, funeral costs, the Moai provides it. No loans, no interest, just support. A 2014 study in social science and medicine tracked 1,800 elderly Okinawans and found that those with active Moai participation had 30% lower mortality rates over 10 years compared to those without. The effect persisted after adjusting for diet, exercise, and income. Social isolation kills. Research from Brigham Young University analyzed 148 studies covering 300,000 people and found that loneliness increases mortality risk by 50%, equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Your body interprets isolation as a threat. Cortisol rises, inflammation increases, immune function drops. Moai eliminates that threat. You're never isolated. You're never without a safety net. Monasteries operate identically. Monks live in community. They eat together. They work together. They hold each other accountable to practice. That collective structure provides stability and purpose beyond individual effort. Modern life fragments connection. People move for jobs. Families scatter across states. Friendships become digital. You can have 500 online contacts and still feel completely alone. Okinawans reject that model. Their bonds are physical, local, and unbreakable. You need the same structure. Find your Moai. Build it intentionally. Commit to regular contact. Show up when it's inconvenient. Create the safety net before you need it. Deep connection isn't optional. It's survival. Okinawans live slow, not because they're inefficient, because rushing destroys the body. Their days follow rhythm, not deadlines. They wake with the sun. They eat at consistent times. They work in natural light. They rest when the body signals fatigue. They spend hours outdoors. gardening, walking, sitting in the shade with neighbors. No alarms blaring at 5 a.m., no back-to-back calendar blocks, no artificial light tricking the brain into thinking it's noon at midnight. Just alignment with the planet's actual cycle. Stress hormones operate on a timer. Cortisol should peak in the morning to wake you up, then decline throughout the day. Chronic stress breaks that pattern. Cortisol stays elevated. Your body never shifts into rest mode. Sleep suffers. Digestion slows. Inflammation rises. A 2012 study in psychoneuroendocrinology measured cortisol levels in 1,500 adults and found that those with flattened cortisol rhythms, meaning consistently high levels, had significantly higher rates of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and early death. Okinawans maintain healthy cortisol curves because their environment supports it. They're outside during daylight. They see the sunrise. They watch the sunset. That light exposure regulates circadian rhythm and keeps cortisol on schedule. Compare that to sitting under fluorescent office lights for 10 hours, then staring at screens until midnight. Your brain can't distinguish artificial blue light from daylight. It suppresses melatonin. It delays sleep. It destabilizes the entire hormonal axis. Tibetan monks live at high altitude, exposed to intense sunlight and cold air. Shaolin monks train outdoors in all seasons. Their practices force the body to adapt to natural conditions: heat, cold, wind, rain. That exposure builds resilience. It strengthens mitochondria. It keeps stress response flexible instead of rigid. Okinawans do the same without the altitude. They garden in the heat. They walk in the rain. They don't insulate themselves from discomfort. They let the body experience variation. That variation is medicine. Cold exposure activates brown fat and improves insulin sensitivity. Sunlight produces vitamin D and synchronizes your internal clock. Fresh air reduces indoor pollutants that trigger inflammation. You don't need a mountain. You need to go outside, walk in the morning, sit outside during lunch, turn off screens 2 hours before bed. Let your body remember what natural rhythm feels like. Okinawans also build ritual into their day. Tea ceremonies, prayer, quiet moments of reflection. These aren't distractions. They're reset points. They interrupt the mental loop of planning and worrying. They bring you back to the present. Monks call this mindfulness. Okinawans just call it life. Same effect. Lower stress, clearer mind, longer life. Slow down. Go outside. Let the day unfold without forcing it. Your nervous system will remember how to rest. The traditional Okinawan diet looks nothing like modern nutrition advice. No protein shakes. No calorie apps. No optimized meal timing. Just whole foods, grown locally, prepared simply, eaten for generations. The foundation is sweet potato, purple sweet potato, specifically rich in anthocyanins, the same compounds that give blueberries their anti-inflammatory properties. Okinawans eat it daily, sometimes multiple times a day. It's their primary carbohydrate source, replacing rice in a region where rice is sacred everywhere else in Japan. Then vegetables, bitter melon, seaweed, bok choy, daikon radish, squash, all grown in home gardens or purchased from neighbors. Fresh, seasonal, minimal processing. Tofu and soy products provide protein. Miso soup appears at most meals. Fish comes from the ocean, small portions, not slabs. Pork is reserved for celebrations, and when eaten, every part of the animal is used. No industrial oils, no refined sugar, no packaged foods engineered in labs. A 2016 study in Mechanisms of Aging and Development analyzed the nutrient density of traditional Okinawan meals and found they delivered significantly higher levels of antioxidants, fiber, and micronutrients per calorie than standard Western diets. The Okinawan plate is 80% plant-based by volume. That ratio matters. Plants contain phytonutrients that reduce oxidative stress, the cellular damage that accelerates aging. They provide fiber that feeds gut bacteria and stabilizes blood sugar. They're naturally anti-inflammatory. Compare that to the standard Western plate. Half the plate is meat, a quarter is refined grains, and vegetables are an afterthought. That composition drives inflammation, spikes insulin, and overloads digestion. Okinawans also eat less overall. Their calorie intake averages 1,800 to 1,900 per day, about 20% lower than typical Western consumption. But they're not starving, they're satisfied. The food is nutrient dense, so the body gets what it needs without excess. Monk diets follow the same blueprint. Shaolin monks eat rice, vegetables, tofu, and occasional eggs. Tibetan monks survive on barley, vegetables, and butter tea. Both traditions emphasize purity, food that nourishes without burdening the system. Processed food does the opposite. It's calorie-rich, but nutrient-poor. Your body consumes it, extracts minimal value, and signals hunger again within hours. You eat more, you gain weight, you inflame your gut, your energy crashes. Okinawan food is the reverse. High nutrient density per bite. Your body gets zinc, magnesium, potassium, omega-3s, polyphenols, everything it needs to repair tissue, build bone, and maintain immunity. Their bones stay strong into their 90s, not because they take calcium supplements, but because their diet is alkaline. Vegetables buffer acidity. That prevents the body from leaching calcium from bones to maintain blood pH. Their gut health remains intact because they eat fermented foods daily. Miso, pickled vegetables, natto. These provide probiotics that keep digestion efficient and immune function sharp. Their skin ages slower because antioxidants from purple sweet potato, bitter melon, and seaweed neutralize free radicals before they damage collagen. You don't need exotic ingredients. You need to eat more plants. You need to cook at home. You need to stop buying food with ingredient lists longer than a paragraph. Start with one meal. Replace the processed carbohydrate with a whole one. Add 2 vegetables. Use olive oil instead of seed oils. Eat slower. That's the Okinawan template. Simple, repeatable, proven for a century. Your body knows what to do with real food. Feed it correctly, and it will last. The Okinawan way isn't a hack. It's not a protocol you follow for 30 days, then abandon. It's a framework. Principles that work with your biology instead of fighting it. Hara Hachibu teaches you to stop before you're stuffed. Daily movement keeps fascia loose and joints healthy without a gym membership. Ikigai gives you a reason to wake up. Moai builds the social safety net that prevents isolation from killing you early. Low-stress living syncs your body to natural rhythms. And whole foods deliver the nutrients your cells actually need. None of this requires money. None of it requires prescriptions. None of it requires complicated routines or expensive equipment. Okinawans proved it works. Monks proved it works. The research confirms what both groups already knew. Your body wants to last. It's designed for longevity. But it needs the right conditions. Start with one practice. Pick the easiest entry point. If you overeat, try Hara Hachibu at dinner tonight. If you sit all day, stand for 10 minutes every hour. If you feel isolated, call someone and make a plan to meet in person. Don't overhaul everything at once. Add one habit. Let it stick. Then add another. The Okinawans didn't engineer their lifestyle in a lab. They inherited it. They followed it. They stayed alive because of it. You have the same option, the same biology, the same capacity to align your daily habits with what actually keeps a human body strong past 70, past 80, past 90. Modern medicine has its place, but longevity starts long before you need a hospital. It starts with how you eat, how you move, how you connect, how you rest. Okinawans figured that out centuries ago. Now you know it too.